Right, welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're talking Terminator Dark Fate. This is over on Cinema Blend, so please do go and check it out. The article's there for you all to see. Obviously, with respect to Terminator Dark Fate, one of the key selling points, the key marketing points, is having Arnold Schwarzenegger back. It's always one of the things they use. Even if he's not physically back, they normally create a digital recreation of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator T-800. Of course, Terminator Salvation was, famous for that. Not a bad one either. Actually, was pretty good. A little bit robbery here and there, but all by the by, pretty damn good. Now, this tends to follow the same trend as Terminator Genisys. Terminator Genisys' main selling point, I guess, was Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the role again. Now, with Terminator Genisys, they didn't de-age him. There was no trying to cover up Arnold Schwarzenegger's age, which was good and bad. It went in line with what was established in respect to the first two movies, how the skin is organic, it does age, it does grow. So, we've now got a situation where we have another Terminator, another T-800, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And again, it's confirmed that he is playing a T-800. We did hear some rumours and rumblings for a while, and it wasn't clear-cut what he would be playing in the film. A lot of people suspected, I myself included, suspected that he would be playing the character, the human, that the T-800 series, that skin particularly, was modelled after. But since then it has come out, again, clear-cut, confirmed, he is playing a T-800. And there's even something in the trailer which I'll pull up a screen grab of, where you can see the gang, I guess you could call them, on a firing range in Carl's. This is what this T-800 has named himself, Carl's backyard. And you can see the very two clear-cut, bog-standard humans and the two augmented machines, or machine humans. We've got T-800, and then we've got Grace. One, obviously, Arnold Schwarzenegger being a Terminator and Grace being an augmented human. Why do we know this? Because they're not wearing ear protection. And the two humans, Danny Ramos, Natalia Reyes' character, and Linda Hamilton's Sarah Connor, are wearing ear protection. So it's a dead giveaway, even outside of the actual confirmation from everyone. So why didn't we get a de-aged Arnold Schwarzenegger in this film? Now, this is what this article goes into. This is what it discusses. So Terminator's Dark Fate has a lot of questions to answer, including why Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 is back after T2 Judgment Day, and also how he is aging. Well, look, we know how he's aging. That's something which they established in the first few movies, something which they then projected just that little bit further. They expanded upon what they had already mentioned in the first two movies in Terminator Genisys, and they're just taking it home again in the Terminator Dark Fate. In this day and age, it would have been easy for director Tim Miller and producer James Cameron, no stranger to technology, to digitally de-age Arnold to make him look more like the T-800s we met in the Terminator in 1984 and T2 in 1991. Now, there is a young Terminator T-800 in this movie. We've seen the Jude Colley and I think it's Brett Salazar. I don't know the name off by heart, but we've seen those two behind a with basically with the digital mapping. We know that we're going to see a younger John Connor, so that's the Jude Colley, and then the Brett Salazar, who did act again. I don't know if that is actually his name. And we know that he's already played a T-800 before. He was the body double for it. So we're going to get a young Arnold in the film. So it is interesting that they didn't choose to take that forward. Because, yeah, I mean, they're going to have the models created already. But it might be that they use, an older model that's already been established for Arnold Schwarzenegger in the past. Something which they can reuse. And then not wish to do the full expense. Moving forwards. Now, heck, there's even a creepy new deepfake showing young Sylvester Stallone in Arnold's role in T2. You can do anything digitally these days, but that's not the story Terminator Dark Fate wants to tell. Instead, the 6th Terminator movie, which is blowing off everything after T1 and T2. Again, for those that aren't aware, it irreparably changes the timeline. So those other movies and timelines still happened, I think. Maybe. We don't know. They might have still happened. But this leads off after Terminator 2. It initially opens up pretty much, well, I guess, a week after. It's so close after T2 ends. And then it'll flash forward, 40-something years into the future. So it is taking off immediately after T2. Now, this is a very much interested in aging heroes Logan and Unforgiven style. Here's what director Tim Miller explained to Men's Health about the 72-year-old Arnold as T-800 in Terminator Dark Fate. Now, he does actually raise some interesting points here, which I do think contradicts his previous misogynistic comments. I didn't want to do a digital Arnold, that's for F sure. We're embracing the reality of what it means to be a person of a certain age who is called upon to be heroic. I love that. I always liked stories like Rooster Cogburn and True Grit. True Grit is a fantastic movie. Also has a strong female protagonist in the film. Check it out. That's a great film. Things like that. Flawed heroes are so much more interesting than young, perfect ones to me. And he looks great. And he does. Arnold Schwarzenegger looks awesome. He's always looked awesome. We did go through a stage in his governorship where he didn't look so good. I don't think he was focused on training. And he had the heart surgery as well, I believe. He looks great. He absolutely looks great. In fact, there's a behind-the-scenes fridge and gym walk around with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it's always good to see Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, I grew up with bodybuilding and things like that. So him being Mr. Olympia and he's an idol to so many people, including myself. So he does look really, really good. Now, obviously, he thinks flawed heroes are so much more interesting than young, perfect ones to me. And he looks great. There were so many women on set who were like, oh my God, this is the best Arnold's ever looked. It's different from Mr. Olympia. He was a god. But there's something about him at this age. He has this regalness. Now, the best he's ever looked might be pushing it, but I do appreciate Terminator Dark Fate making a point to showcase older heroes. I disagree. I mean, I wouldn't say that it is absolutely the best he's ever looked, but I mean, it's, well, I wouldn't say it's pushing it. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is growing into his age, if that makes sense. Now, that's obviously not just Arnold Schwarzenegger, but also Linda Hamilton, who Sarah Connor had the ultimate transformation from T1 to T2. Yeah, that's why Sarah Connor is such a compelling character, because we literally see it right there between 1 to the second movie, Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. We see character development. And that's why she's so compelling. That's why people could get on board with her, because we see the growth. She doesn't just rock up and go, I'm a badass, right? Which is a flaw in modern storytelling. When we try to project strong females, it's literally, here's a strong female character, love her. Back in the day, we had character growth and development, and that's why Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton, was so well loved between T1 and T2. Because we see her grow as a character, as an individual. We see her become what she's supposed to be. And she is beaten down. She is battle-hardened as a result. I mean, she's locked in an insane asylum. So, yeah. Now, she's still the same Sarah Connor we saw at the end of T2, the one who changed the future but didn't change the fate of the world. But what about the T-800? The new team seems to visit in the Boondocks to recruit for help. Apparently, he's going to be Carl now. Yep, he is. He's got Carl's draperies. Was the T-800 sent back in time again after its thumbs-up farewell into lava in T2? But this time, using a more advanced Skynet technology that allows Terminators to age like humans. No, they age anyway. We know that's what they age. They do. The skin ages. It's already been established. And it's not that it's not the same Terminator. People seem to forget this, that it's just a series. So it's just a skin that's thrown over the top. There's many of them. There's loads. It could be 1 million of these bloody Arnolds running about there. So, yeah. Now, Dark Fate's trailers have shown Mackenzie Davis Grace is a cyborg. who sees herself as human, and Gabriel Luna plays a very advanced Terminator called the Rev 9, who can split himself in two. Speaking of the Rev 9, Arnold Schwarzenegger hinted to a showdown between his old man T-800 and the upgraded young shapeshifter. There are moments in Terminator Dark Fate where you kind of feel sorry for Terminator, for the T-800. It's like, I hope he gets destroyed, but I hope he wins against this. And that's kind of going into the... Well, why would we want the T-800 to die? Because he went and killed someone very popular in the franchise. Again, there's all these little tidbits of how the leaks were. They're being confirmed as we read into these things. But, you know, I'll leave it to you to make up your mind. So, yeah, there's still no fate but what we make of it for ourselves, for what time makes for us. James Cameron has talked about bringing back the original film's leads, Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Cameron said he refused to help make the movie without Arnold. It's always the case. It's why he lied about Terminator Genesis. Again, confirmed. Google, Sydney Morning Herald. He openly admitted to lying just to support the film, to support his friend Arnold Schwarzenegger. Cameron also said he had to convince Hamilton to return, but he loved being able to showcase a woman over 60s as an action hero in a way we almost never see on the big screen. I think that will be interesting. I think it'll be good to see... I mean, it's always good to see Linda Hamilton back. Some people seem to have misconstrued my previous video where I discussed Terminator projected to flop. I was discussing the wider populace not caring about Linda Hamilton or Arnold Schwarzenegger through factual evidence. I mean, we see it. The box office results speak for themselves. From a personal perspective, Arnold Schwarzenegger is an idol of mine. I started bodybuilding as a result of him. And to see Linda Hamilton back, of course it will be good to see her back. It'll be interesting to see what she does after being away from movies for so long. Now, Terminator Dark Fate will also bring back T2's Edward Furlong as John Connor. Now, obviously, that's up for debate in terms of how much. He's confirmed himself it's a very, very small role. So, there you go. He's just going to be an aged Terminator. The article itself is posing it like, how is it going to happen? We know how it's going to happen. They age, basically. They just simply age. That is what happens to the T-800 skin. It ages, it's organic. It grows, it ages. It can, be scarred and things like this. So that's how it's going to happen. There you go. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts, because this is a movie which is getting a lot of hate from both sides. There's massive pros, massive cons. I try to take an objective look at these things. There are massive pros and cons about it all. Now, if you want a comedic stab at this franchise, the Terminator. If you're not a fan of Terminator Salvation, you're not a fan of Terminator Dark Fate, then we can scroll through my brand new merch line and we can see a bit of Terminator Beyond Salvation. So this is new merch which I've just dropped. It is there on my Teespring. So if you want to have again, this is all just a bit of fun. If you want to have a look at that, Terminator Beyond Salvation, check it out. We've also got, you asked for it, I did a community post of this. We also have Space Jeebus. I know. I had a few comments about this saying, why am I ridiculing Christianity? I'm not. This is actually ridiculing Star Wars, because Star Wars is apparently creating Rey as this Space Jesus character. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't you do a Space Muhammad t-shirt? Well, that doesn't make sense, because this is a riff on Star Wars, not Christianity. But there you go, there's Space Jeebus. Check it out. The merch link will be down below in the description box. But anyway, like I said, please do let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. Give this video a like and a share if you enjoyed it. If you are new here, make sure you hit subscribe. You can stay up to date on the world of pop culture and movie news by turning the bell notifications on. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Mr. H. Take care.